So take a look at this, folks. This is the weekly gauge of individual investor sentiment. It has plunged back to extreme bearishness just after about a month ago, peaking into bullishness. I'm going to bring in with us now one of our favorites, Kingsview Wealth Management CIO Scott Martin. You know, Scott, it's interesting because a lot of folks on Wall Street use that sort of as a contrarian thing. But the irony is that this has been spot on, right? Sentiment, it goes down right before market plunges. Sentiment has gone up right as markets have gone up. But overall, we know that these are the times, or at least these swoons present opportunities. But how do you have the ice water in your veins to truly take advantage of it?
A lot of transfusion work over the last few weeks, Charles, with respect to getting ice water in there instead of blood, because that's what you need. I mean, unfortunately, you know, back to that blood comment, I mean, being human makes us scared. You know, we see things like this, and the blood courses through our veins, and it boils. And we get nervous when things like this happen, when banks fail, when it seems like the Fed and things you've been talking about during the program today, which has been great, by the way, when the Fed and the Treasury seems to be another step behind the curve here. So you need to kind of think about getting some ice water in your veins, though, because we've seen some things like this before with respect to Brexit, when we've seen the downgrade of the U.S. Treasury debt. Other bank worries. I mean, Credit Suisse and Deutsche Bank, boys and girls, have their banks against the wall for years now, almost a decade, and they haven't failed, and maybe they will this time. But the point is, we've been here before, and I think this time the governments are a little bit better prepared than, say, they were in 07, 08, and they're going to take some necessary action to make sure that things don't fly off the handle.
Well, to that point, I mean, you've gone a step beyond ice water, because now you're even saying buy banks. So beyond the notion that maybe that somehow that the government will find a way to ring post or mitigate losses, what do you like about them, and which banks are standing out for you?
Yeah, so again, just kind of getting on that theory of just looking at where I think there's some value out there with respect to just oversold conditions. I think some investors or some funds have been forced to sell some of these names, Charles. So you can bifurcate it. You can go a little bit more on the risky side, on the more regional risky side, which is your Fifth Thirds and your Commericas, which have good balance sheets, by the way. I mean, yes, there's some unrealized losses there, but some of the paper, a lot of the paper that's on their balance sheets is AAA, and therefore it's going to be okay if, especially, the government comes to a little bit of their rescue if they need it, if the deposits flow out. But then you can go another step up to the, say, higher rung of the banks, that if there is such a thing, and look at the Goldmans and JP Morgans. So you have stuff that's down like 40% in the regional side, and stuff on the JP and Goldman side that's down 20, 30%. And I think you can scoop, say, 10, 15, 25% out of those names here in the next few weeks.
I got 20 seconds. Just about an hour ago, Charles Schwab said they actually got in almost $17 billion in the last week. Those are one of those names with, again, a lot of exposure to this held to maturity kind of thing. People put them on the watch list. The stock's been down. Would you buy a Charles Schwab here?
Already did. I'm going to buy some more. And look, these banks, too, going forward, Charles, I know we're running out of time. They're going to have Lindsay Lohan or, let's say, Britney Spears type bad weeks in their future. But those are times, like you said, man, you've got to get in and get some of these stocks and just be ready to cut them if they're making you nervous. But I think they're going to go up from here.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about with the Lindsay Lohan bad week, but I'm
trying to get her back in the news, man. Sorry about that.
I'm sure it's a cultural reference most of the audience
She's having
gets.
a bad one, trust me.
All
See
right,
you, man.
Scott, have a great weekend. Folks, we'll be right back.